Okay, so I'm going to talk a quick second about the interview that Alan Jackson did with Howie Carr on Howie Carr's radio show, right? He called in, they had a 10-minute interview, and it was very good. It revealed a lot of stuff. I'm going to show it in a minute. I can only show little snippets of the videos because TikTok slaps me with violations, and they're like, that's unoriginal content. Bitch, there's nothing unoriginal about me. Anyway, Alan Jackson said exactly what we all have been yelling about all along. Judge Bev, and he says it very politely, but he says, the judge was absolutely biased toward the prosecution. Never seen such a tremendous effort be put forth to keep witnesses out. I had said it in a previous video how it was interesting how all of the defense witnesses had to be voir dired, and Bev had to go through all their testimony. They went through every single slide deck. They took out all the information, all the verbiage that would be seen as repetitive or hearsay or, inappropriate or whatever. But none of the prosecution's witnesses had to go through that. In hindsight, that was a misfire, because had she known what some of the prosecution witnesses were going to say, she might not allow that either. She just let them freely make fools of themselves. He talks about how they worked so hard. Every single motion was to keep people out. Every single objection was to keep the information from getting to the jury. And he says this one thing, and I don't know if you were keeping track at home, but he said this.
This is still just shocking to me. There was a witness that I took on direct examination. It's direct, and it's an expert, and just allowed to lead experts in every state in the union. You can have moments where you lead experts. Every question I asked was objected to by Hank Brennan, and 100% of his objections were sustained. I've never seen that in 30 years of practice. Literally, I think it was 49 objections and 49 sustained objections by Hank Brennan and the judge. Talk about trying to keep the information from the jurors. It's not like I was abusing my position trying to get information in that was not relevant. I just had to ask the question 17 different times in 5 different directions to get the information in front of the jury.
I'm not sure which witness he's talking about. I have to go back and watch. Maybe it was Russell. But that objection, 49 objections during one person's testimony, and all 49 sustained. You are allowed to somewhat lead your own witnesses, but Bev Cannone wouldn't allow him to do that at all. So you got Hank Brennan over here saying, so then you got a ham sandwich and you took a bite and you chewed it 34 times. Is that correct? And they would just go, yes. Alan Jackson would try that. Objection. You have to ask it 6 different ways. So finally, Alan Jackson would have to say, do you remember getting a ham sandwich? Yes. Then what did you first do with the ham sandwich? I bit into it. Then what did you do with the ham sandwich? Do you recall what you did after you bit the ham sandwich? Yes, I chewed it. Do you have any memory of what you did with the ham sandwich once that piece of ham sandwich was in your mouth? Yes, I chewed it. Can you tell the court, please, if you remember, was there a certain number of times that you chewed it? Yes, I chewed it 34 times. It took 10 minutes longer for Alan Jackson to get the answer to one question than it ever did Hank Brennan. And that was Judge Bev. That was exactly what Judge Bev's mission was. That was her intent. Her intent was to never let them hear the full story. And there were so many times where she overruled things coming in. Watched a lot of trials. Never seen this many sidebars. Ever seen this many sidebars. And they had to start having sidebars. The defense would call for them because the defense knew that it was inappropriate to argue with the judge in front of the jury. So they kept calling sidebars. Bev kept calling sidebars because she would see where the questioning was going. And again, it was all about disrupt, throw off the timing, disrupt, throw off the timing. I think one thing that Alan Jackson did was he did a favor for every defense attorney in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts and those future generations, the people who are right now in law school who plan to defend, especially if you're going to be like a public defender. You now know, you have the handbook. Go back and watch the Karen Read trial. You have the handbook for how to overcome a biased judge. Alan Jackson took care of that for you. You see Judge Cannone's name come up on your slip that you're going to have to be in her court. This is how you can go about defending your client in the face of a biased judge.